guys, I'm Phil Gray. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a couple of our wireless products, and you'll be pleased to know that it's not a massively long part of the presentation. So let's see. Okay, so we're going to talk about two products primarily. We have other products in our range, but the two most important, I think, to talk about are the Anybus Wireless Bolt and the Anybus Wireless Bridge. They're both fantastic little products. So what's the difference? You'll see here in this picture, on the left-hand side, we've got the Anybus Wireless Bridge. On the right, we have the Anybus Wireless Bolt. Both of those devices, where they're slightly unique, is the fact that they are both capable of talking either Wi-Fi, 2.4 or 5 gigahertz, and Bluetooth. So they can't do both at the same time. It tends to be one or the other, but that means that they suit most applications. I'm now trying to find a little bit to change the thing. Okay, so the wireless bridge, often used in pairs to create a bridge, so a cable replacement. So for instance, if you have to get from one building to another and you have some very expensive civils in digging up and laying a cable, then the wireless bridge is absolutely perfect. It can be mounted either directly to a surface or via DIN rail onto a DIN rail with an adapter, and it has M12 connectors. The wireless bolt is designed to be screwed onto a machine or a control panel or a movable vehicle. It takes a 50.3 or 50.4 mil hole. It comes with a gasket as well to give it a seal, so it's ideally mounted. It's available either with an 18-pin serial connection or an RJ45 Ethernet connection and a power plug, as you can see in the picture there. Just a little bit of an overview. We're not going to go through this because we'll look at the two products independently in a bit more detail, but just a couple of key points. The range of the wireless bridge, whether it be Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, is 400 meters, and that's line of sight. And the wireless bolt is up to 100 meters, again, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, but that's in a 360-degree circumference. So that has a 100-meter connection all the way around the bolt. IP65 for the wireless bridge, IP66 for the bolt. Mounting, you'll see there an M50 hole or a DIN rail or screw to the wall for the bridge. Configuration of the device. Oh, I've gone one too far there. I do apologize. Configuration of the device on the wireless bridge, we can configure it either with the push button on the front, which has a mode setting, or we have a web page with AT commands. On the wireless bolt, we have just a web page with AT commands. So let's move on. Okay, so we'll look at the wireless bolt to start with in a tiny bit more detail. So you can see there an idea of mounting of the wireless bolt. So if you have a factory and you have individual machines or lines and you want those to be able to connect to them wirelessly, the bolt is an absolutely perfect product. So you can connect to that device, you can connect it to an existing network, or you can connect to it independently as an access point. A few technical highlights, which are always the most interesting thing. You can see there it's IP67, range of up to 100 meters. You can get it with one single connector if you would like. You can see in that picture there it has the single connector at the bottom, or you can get it in the RJ45 version. To be completely honest, the most popular product now is the RJ45 connection because it's just so much easier than wiring the tiny little long plug. You can connect via Ethernet. We have a CAN version, which will be available at some point, and we will have a serial version, which we are working on at the moment, and we're waiting for that to be released, but that will allow you to make a serial 232 or 485 wireless connection. Just to go over again, 2.4 or 5 gigahertz connection for Wi-Fi. It can be either an access point or a client. It's available with Bluetooth as an access point or a client, and it's also available with low energy Bluetooth. All in the same device, you just select which you want to use within the AT commands. We do a version with a white outer hood, hat, whatever you want to call it, for if you have something that's in direct sunlight. As we say, oh, it's a 50.5 mil hole. Actually, I was slightly out. So 50.5 mil hole, and you can see there it comes with a gasket and a locking nut to fix it in place. The top part of the helmet, we always call it Darth Vader's helmet, obviously fits on the outside. And then you have a 50 mil nut, which you put inside to lock it into place. The RJ45 version with the separate power connector is also powered via power over Ethernet, should you wish to do so. So a brief description, I'm not going to go through all this the same as before, I'm sure you're capable of reading it. Range up to 100 meters, temperature range -40 to +65, the direct sunlight version -40 to +65. You can see there it has a Bilux material housing, IP67, obviously it's IP21 on the inside, like most things, M50 mounting. The bolt is powered via 9 to 30 volts DC. It also supports cranking support. So if you have an overload when you first switch the power on, for instance, say if it's on a generator or something like that, it can cope with an overload briefly. Power over Ethernet, 19 to 36 volts DC, Ethernet based, 10100 base T, auto crossover detection, and you'll see there the throughput. So 20 megabits WLAN, and which actually I have a feeling that's incorrect because it's 10 megabits per second on Bluetooth, and I'm pretty sure it's 50 on WLAN. So don't pay too much attention. That is definitely incorrect. Okay, so just briefly now we'll have a look at our wireless bridge. So you can see here, this is what our wireless bridge looks like. Very pretty. It's quite a small unit. It's probably around the size of a mobile phone, but obviously quite a bit thicker. So it's very discreet if you want to mount it externally. It's IP65, range of up to 400 meters. As I said, comes with, you can use that 400 meters for either Bluetooth or for Wi-Fi. You'll see here on the front that it's got some status LEDs. It's got a link quality LED. So if you're setting this up as a point-to-point connection, it's very easy to set them up because you will get an indication as to how in a line they are if you're using it as a point-to-point connection. The mode button is a push button configuration. So you can set it up in a variety of different ways straight out the box without connecting your laptop to it. In the instruction manual, there's a list of, I think it's 8 different variants. You can, within the software, if you want to, turn off use of that mode button and turn off those LEDs if you want it to be completely discrete. And it's just standard M12 connectors for power and your Ethernet connection. Okay, so as just a brief overview, 400 meters, -40 to 65 degrees. Mounting is very simple, 9 to 30 volts DC. Again, it has cranking support as well. And the gross speed, that's better, is 54 megabits for Wi-Fi and 10 megabits for Bluetooth. This presentation does like going a bit crazy, I have to say. So it's available as a wireless cable kit. This is probably the most cost-effective way to buy the device. You can buy them individually, or if you buy this cable kit, it comes complete with 2 bolts, as you can see. It comes with some pre-wired cables at one end with flying connectors at the other. The reason being that it's simple then to put the cable through a gland if you want to take that into a control panel or something. Abdul will be able to give you some pricing if this is of interest. Obviously, You don't have to use them as a pair. If you want to use them individually, then you can use them separately. That's not a problem at all. Last little bit of overview. I'm not going to read through all of that. I'm sure you've got the idea by now. So we have two other products which we'll just touch on very, very briefly. We have two wireless LAN access points, and these are just wireless LAN. They are not Bluetooth. They are the same unit. One is externally mounted, one is internally mounted. Again, we do a range of PoE injectors as well. To be honest with you, as an access point, they're pretty much the same as everything else that's on the market. Okay, so never underestimate the power of wireless. As you can see, somebody's actually grafted Darth Vader's helmet onto one of our bolts. And I think that is it. So if there are any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for taking us through the Anybus Wireless range. Yes, indeed, we have one question, and that's
far away.
For the full 400 meter, the face has to point to one another. That is directional. So the bridge is a unidirectional, has a unidirectional antenna, doesn't it?
It does, yes. Yeah. One thing I've just realized that is missing from that presentation is the fact that you can use that bridge as an access point. So you can connect up to 7 devices to it. So in theory, you could have 4 wireless bridges connected to one of them as a master, as an access point, and then maybe 3 bolts, something like that. The bolt and the bridge can talk to each other. So yes, it is a direction antenna built in. It's available with the antenna built in, or it's available so you can mount your own antenna.
Okay. Okay, so basically, if you want to extend the range, you could get a high gain antenna and connect it to the bridge, and you can get more distance.
That would depend on your environment, of course, with all these things. When we say line of sight, we mean true line of sight. So we have to take into account many things. I don't want to go too technically into the wireless technology, but you have to think about the Fresnel zone.
Okay. But
so it's to check.
Well, I can unmute Paul, and if he has got any further questions, he can ask that.
Yeah, no problem.
He's self-muted himself, so he'll have to probably unmute himself now. Paul, do you have any other questions? If you have, you can always unmute yourself and ask.
No, I think that's answered. Just the so the 400 meters. If the directional analysis is built into the unit itself, I'm assuming that they're obviously got to face one another to get the 400 meters. Or are you saying that to get the 400 meters you need proper directional antenna?
No, they'll do 400 meters between themselves with the built-in antenna.
Okay, great.
And then if you remember, you saw some LEDs on the side there. Basically, that's a connection scale, so it helps with aligning them together.
There is also a version with an external antenna. So if distance really is an issue, then the external antenna might assist. Then you could add something with a higher gain. So the versions that Phil's showing here with the internal antenna, they're designed to be positioned face to face with the logos facing each other. The external antenna will allow you to obviously position that in a better place.
Yes,
okay. Where does the external antenna fit to then? Was there another option?
It's a different model. The connector for the external antenna is on the top of the box. So if you look at that, with the M12s at the bottom, there's an SMC connector at the top of the unit.
There's a picture here on the leaflet. There's a small picture here on the leaflet. So there's an antenna there.
Yeah, I can see that in the documentation. Okay, fine, thank you.
Right. So yeah, if you have any questions about networking, M.A.C Solutions does provide networking services. So if you want to analyze somebody's network and install wireless connectivity in there, we do have Santos Muro, who's an expert. You know, these smart motors you see, he's actually spec'd that out as well for connectivity. So he's very well, you know, very knowledgeable person when it comes to networking. So if you ever need any help with networking or wireless connectivity, we have got the right skill set in our organization to help you out. So by all means, if you have a project, do reach out to us, and we can make use of these very good products, the bolts and the bridges.
Yeah, never assume that it will just work. That's the best thing with wireless.